Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Good morning, guys. Welcome back to WagerTalk TV. You're watching Puck Time. I'm Andrew McInnis, and I have Bryan Leonard with me here today on this Monday morning. 4 games to break down, best bets at the end of the show, and some great promotional stuff as well. A reminder to all of you guys watching or listening on podcast platforms, it's $9 Monday right here at WagerTalk.com. Every single pick package that is up and available is listed for only $9. Whether that's a 3, 4, or 5% play, it is just $9. I'll bring in my good friend, Bryan Leonard. Bryan, what's going on for you tonight at WagerTalk.com?
How you doing, Andrew? It's $9 Monday. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to have a play today. The only game I really like, I'm going to use for my best bet on this show. So don't want to sell it. I want to give it out to everybody for joining us today as a little bit of a bonus. Save yourself some money. Probably I passed yesterday. Likely passing today. I just haven't had a good feel. I don't know if it's the cold I'm just coming off of, but my mind just hasn't been able to focus as well. And so we haven't had as many plays. So I'd rather do that than force anything. I'll give you my best bet on the day in just a moment. But it looks like I'll be passing for clients today.
All right. I'll have just one best bet up in hockey for clients and for $9 Monday. Other than that, everything else we mentioned here on this show with you today, Bryan. So we're going to talk about the Hurricanes and the Capitals, the St. Louis Blues and the Canucks. We have the Sabres and the Blackhawks. And, of course, the last game, we have the Seattle Kraken and the Los Angeles Kings. Let's start things off with our very first game with the Carolina Hurricanes and the Washington Capitals. As they go head-to-head here, Bryan, with Carolina minus 130 road favorites, Washington plus 110 at home here. Totals at 6 in this game. And, we often talk about these prices. And I'll tell you what, I honestly felt like, I know Washington's a good team, but Bryan, I honestly felt like this was a little bit cheap for them. I know we can talk about scheduling. We can talk about highs and lows of a season, a team getting, picking up steam and playing a lot better. But I don't know. I think that Carolina, this is a good number for them. And I like them tonight here in this spot. I think they've been playing well. I like them defensively. And I'll tell you what, I trust their goaltending better as well. What about you? I like Carolina here.
Yeah, I was looking to play the dog. I'm always looking to play the dog if I can. But I went back and took out the stats from Evolving Hockey over the last month. And we're looking at goals plus or minus per 60. We got the Hurricanes 0.04, but Washington minus 0.15. So it's like 20% of a goal. But when you take a look at the expected goals, Carolina really is doing a lot better. They're 0.87 expected goals, 5-on-5, whereas Washington is minus 0.33. So Carolina's had some poor luck, actually, so far in the last month or so. So I agree. I think that obviously they're a better team. That's why the line's telling you that. But when you take a look at the schedule here, it's been a busy week for them. They played 4 games last week, winning 2 out of the 4, coming off of a blowout win over St. Louis, 7-2 win. But this is the first of a back-to-back, and they play Tampa Bay tomorrow. That game has a bit of a more important game for Carolina. But you go back to the 3rd of this month, Carolina was on the road at Washington, very same place, and they were shut out 4-0. So you've got shutout revenge in regard for Carolina here, but it is the first of a back-to-back. And as I said, beating Tampa, I think tomorrow is more important. Washington team this will be the 3rd game in 4 nights. They beat New Jersey just on Sunday, I believe, Saturday, excuse me. And then they beat Buffalo in a shootout the day before. So situation for myself, I think Carolina is the better team. The line isn't where, if it was 120, I think I may pull the trigger on them. But right now we're looking at, basically 125s across. There is a couple 120s, so slightly in here in Carolina, but to be honest with you, it's probably not going to make my card.
Brian, I take a look at this Capitals team this season, and sure they've had some decent wins where they've upset or they've won some of the competitive ones. But I'll tell you what, I think that they've won the games recently where they should win. Is that correct? I mean, they've won the games that we expect them to win, and maybe I think even in closer fashion than they should have been. I know hockey isn't really a point spread sport, but if it really, besides the puck line, if there was a point spread, the Capitals aren't covering that much, playing close games against teams like the Sabres and stuff like that. And now you talk about the 3 and 4 nights. And that's one of the reasons why I like the Carolina side here today, because of the 3 and 4 nights type of situation. I just think that if you get a team like Carolina that already plays well defensively against a team that could potentially be tired, bring in that revenge angle, to me, it adds so much to the game here. How much does that mean to you, the 3 and 4 nights? And then you talk about the back-to-back look-ahead spot here for Carolina.
Yeah, it definitely means something. I was mistaken. I was looking at the first period for the Carolina. So they're basically 125, 130. So it definitely will keep me off as I wanted the 120. But yeah, the scheduling means so much, especially this time of year, especially in this month. Is you see a lot of teams have just been loaded up this month. Most of them, for example, I mean, Vegas has played an extreme amount of games this month, and it showed in some of their efforts. And
yeah,
but yeah, you always got to take a look at the schedule, take a look at what happened the last time these two teams met, and take a look at what kind of rest they've had. So it's gotten to the point now where everybody knows who the best teams are, who the worst teams are, and you just try to pick your spots. Similar to the NBA, if only the NBA would play their players every night, as opposed to hockey. These guys are a lot tougher in hockey than they are in the NHL, or excuse me, in the NBA, and makes it a little bit easier for us as a handicapping sport.
Yeah, it could be kind of funny if Connor McDavid just decided to take a day off for load management. They'd give him a break against the Buffalo Sabres, or
yeah, he'd get blasted in the media because of that, And in the NBA, it's an everyday thing. Don't understand it.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be the day that happened. Like, breaking news: Alexander Ovechkin to sit out this game because he feels like it, because he just doesn't want to play. All right, our next game, let's jump into it, Brian. The Canucks and the St. Louis Blues here. I think this is a really interesting one here because the Vancouver Canucks, as we all know, are a different team right now than they were, let's say, in October. They're plus 115 road dogs here. St. Louis minus 135, totals at 6 here. And, the reason why I bring that up at the start is because they've really turned things around, but their division is just so competitive. They have a record of 32, 26, and 9. St. Louis, 35, 20, and 9. And yet you obviously see the difference in odds here. And you take a look at what the Blues have looked like recently. They have 3 wins, Brian, their last 10 games. They've even lost to a team like the Philadelphia Flyers, the Columbus Blue Jackets. They've lost to Nashville. They lost to Ottawa. The St. Louis Blues team, sure, hasn't been a great schedule week and a half for them, traveling around and stuff. But also, at home, they aren't playing the best either. We got a Vancouver team that said, hey, I don't care where we are in the standings. I don't care how much time there is left in the season. We're going to keep going at it. And for them, it's been a weird up and down past little while as well. But coming off a 4-1 win over the Dallas Stars, I'll tell you, I'm going to look here. I might surprise some people because we saw a lot of overs with the Vancouver Canucks, and it's very easy to see overs with the St. Louis Blues as well. But I'm actually going to look towards the under in this game. Sometimes I look at the coaches' quotes, and I don't always make picks and selections based too much off what I've seen from them, but it sounds like not just with the Blues, with the Canucks also here, Brian, they really want to buckle down defensively. I can see a really slow start, maybe even first period under 1.5 goals. I expect a good defensive battle from both teams here. They've both been playing some very sloppy hockey, and I expect that to change tonight. What are your thoughts here in this game?
Yeah, I was looking to play on St. Louis here, but I can't do it within this line range here. I'm always looking for spots to play. And over the last month, these two have been pretty equal. Vancouver's actually a little bit slightly better. Yeah, you talked about St. Louis. They've lost 3 of the last, or was it 4? 4 of the last 5 games, with the only win coming in Washington, 5-2. They're not playing well. And now they're playing back-to-back. Well, not back-to-back, but home and away games against Vancouver to finish off this schedule. You would think St. Louis would come out fired up, especially after losing at home to Carolina 7-2 last time out, and losing to Philadelphia in embarrassing fashion 5-2 the 2 days before that. You would expect the best out of St. Louis. But over the last month, the St. Louis best hasn't been very good. Vancouver's a team, as you pointed out, that they played a lot of games in this month, but over the last 3 weeks, other than this road trip they're on right now, all the other games were played at home. They played 7 straight games at home before they went on the road and upset Colorado on the road. Then they lose in overtime to Minnesota. Then they went on the road against Dallas. I mean, this is a team right now playing with a lot of confidence. And the schedule's been much better for them than I believe than it has been for St. Louis. So I wanted the spot says St. Louis, but I don't trust them here. If I was to play this one at all, I'd play Vancouver, and I'm kind of surprised that we could still get. I'm seeing plus 120s out there in some instances for Vancouver's, but that would be the only way I would look in this one. Playing the better hockey as of late, coming in confident. St. Louis has got to be questioning everything at this point. The effort will be there for St. Louis. I really, truly believe they will, but they're just not playing well. And,
Right.
On the season, St. Louis is obviously the team that's in the playoffs, and Vancouver's trying to make it. But right now, Vancouver's the team that I would look to back in this one.
And that's just the point that you make, is that if you're out there looking to bet on St. Louis tonight, you're betting on them because you believe tonight's they turn things around. Because like you said, they haven't showed us anything recently that would tell us that they're going to play better. The spot screams, sure, the quotes from all the players and coaches say, yes, they're going to play better. But what does all that mean? And you look at these odds, like we always try and bring up and emphasize, line value, and ask ourselves, well, who's playing better right now? And like you said, Brian, right now, the Vancouver Canucks give us a hell of a lot more of a reason to back them, than we're seeing there with the St. Louis Blues. But we do know how capable they are and how talented they are. Just a matter of if they can do it. I'm looking towards the under in that game. Let's jump into the Sabres and the Blackhawks here, playing in Chicago at the United Center. Looking at the odds here, I think it's actually minus 165. So the numbers moved a tiny bit here with Chicago, but minus 165 for the Blackhawks, plus 140 for the Sabres here. Totals at 6 in this one. Brian, I'll just toss this one right over to you to see if you have a thought in this game, but I'll just preface it with this. I think later in the season, post-trade deadline, similar to other sports, but especially in hockey, you can really find which teams are going to, I don't want to say a play spoiler, and which teams are going to kind of bend over. And obviously these are two bottom feeders playing each other, but I had to bring it up. My Montreal Canadiens on Saturday, they take down the Maple Leafs. They're a team that I'm going to be non-biased here. They're a team I'll start betting on more than I did before because they still have heart and they've got a lot of young players. Look at this Buffalo team, the Chicago team. There's two teams here. I think both of them are going to be able to, keep it going. They've got lots of younger players and they don't want to just bend over this season. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
About a week ago, I would have had a sizable wager on the Buffalo Sabres in this game. The reasons why I'm not, I'll talk about now. This is the first game back from a 3-game road trip for Chicago. They go to Anaheim, win that game 4-2. Go to LA, a team that's been playing pretty well, fighting for the playoffs. They win that game in a shootout 4-3. They come into Vegas. Now I went to that game the other day, and it was one of those rare games where both Marco and his wife and myself and my wife, we all went to the same game because not a lot of people interested in betting or going to a lot of Vegas games here in Vegas. They just haven't played well. Too many injuries. Can't see any of the star players other than Eichel. But Chicago's up 3-0 after 2 periods in that game, and they deserve to be up 3-0. I did a couple in plays. I was on Vegas expecting them to come back and play better, and they look terrible. Coming into that third period in that game, it was clearly Chicago's game, and half the crowd was leaving. It was a bad situation to be a Las Vegas Golden Knight fan and player at that time. Well, we all know what happened. Vegas comes out, scores 3 goals in no time, wins the game in overtime. It was the best period I've seen Vegas play all season long. Problem is, the other team had basically taken them for granted at that point. So it's a situation you've got to take into account there. But Chicago got a little bit full of themselves. After the All-Star break, they trade away, Fleury. And now they're down to Lekkinen at goalie, and he's been very good. And they're coming off those 2 wins on the road against Anaheim and LA. They're up 3-0 on Vegas. They basically pulled the air. Obviously, I wasn't in the locker room. I haven't seen any camera footage of that locker room. But they must have been feeling pretty good about themselves entering that third period. Now, and they're about to come home. They're about to play Buffalo, a team who's not very good. And things are looking up in Chicago. Well, all of a sudden, they're collapsed the other night in the third period. I'm reading the Chicago papers, and they're thinking, okay, here we go again. This is a team who can't win when the pressure's on, all this. So here they are, full of themselves. Now they come back home thinking everything is great. And now they're hearing, even though they went 2-1 on this road trip, they're hearing that they're back to the same old Chicago Blackhawks that haven't played well this season. And now I kind of want to play them. And in addition to that, here you got a Buffalo Sabres team. This is their third game in 4 days. And their last 5 games have all gone to overtime. So here I am thinking, okay, well, a week ago, I wanted to play Buffalo here. Now I want to play Chicago here. Only problem is the line opened at 160 and is staying in the 160 range. I can't back Chicago in this price range. Maybe we find Chicago in the first period. Maybe that's a better play here. Knowing that they're going to come out hard in this first period, and Buffalo is one of those teams that's tired, should be tired right now. But I can't lay 160 with the Chicago team. They just haven't been that good this year. So even though they are playing Buffalo. So I've been completely torn on this game for the last week, and I'm probably going to come out and not playing anything. Although I may play Chicago in the first period. We'll see. If I do, maybe I'll tweet it out to everybody on Twitter. But that's the only way I can look at it now. But this game has totally changed based on what's happened in the last few days.
Definitely. A lot to unfold there. You took a lot of stuff I was going to say, Brian, so I'll keep it short and sweet here. I'm just going to take the first period over 1.5 goals. I look at the way that both teams have played right now. I look at what I've saw from that collapse, like you mentioned, and that ending to the game from Chicago against the Vegas Golden Knights. And it just kind of gets that feeling that, hey, maybe they aren't getting better defensively. And I took them against Anaheim. And that was one of their first couple games back after the trade deadline. And the net now belongs to Lankinen. And I thought that was a cool angle, the star goalie gets traded, younger guy takes the net over, starts to play very well. The team rallies around him, but that might fade. And I think this Blackhawks team playing well defensively faded pretty quickly. And we saw that against Vegas. And Buffalo, well, we know the story with Buffalo. It's 5-4, 4-3, 4-3. That is a very common scoreline when it comes down to that team being involved. Also want to look at Thompson over 2.5 shots, 3.5 shots when he's playing. Those are great. That's great props to look at. And I got to say, Brian, as somebody, I told you about this before, but Alex Tuch is a guy that I'm not saying that it's, we'll know in the longer term who won that trade, but I think he fits in very well in Buffalo, and he's been giving it his all every night. So he's been a guy looking towards some props as well. But first period, over 1.5 for me. And like Brian said, I think it could be a very, very good in-game betting opportunity tonight, because we don't like the price in the Blackhawks. It'd be cool to see if the Sabres score first, jump in on the Blackhawks, or see what happens. But I do expect a messy hockey game, both teams to score. And Brian, we're hoping on not waiting 60 minutes for a win here. I'm hoping on just getting one in 20 minutes with the first period over 1.5. Let's talk about the Seattle Kraken and the LA Kings as they go head-to-head here. Los Angeles Kings, Brian, they're minus 210 at home tonight. I repeat, the LA Kings are minus 210 against somebody. I don't know if that says much good about them or just says some bad things about the Kraken. But the Kraken are plus 175. The total is at 6 here. I have to ask you here, man. minus 210 for the LA Kings. Are they kidding me? Are we serious here? I mean, this team's played better this year, and they've gotten a lot better over the past month and a half, but I don't know if I'd bet them minus 210 against, an AHL team tonight. What do you think here?
Yeah, you take a look at the last month, goals plus or minus per 60. The Kings are minus 0.39 and Kraken are minus 0.04. So the Kraken have been a third of a goal better over the last month in actual results. But when you take a look at expected goals, you do find the Kings have had some bad luck. They should be plus 0.25, whereas the Kraken minus 0.04. But even with the Kraken minus 0.04, just like they are in actual goals plus or minus per 60 and 5-on-5, that's not bad. That's not bad for a team that's been long out of the playoffs and one of the worst records in hockey. That's a team I want to bet on, especially in this price range. Just take a look at the scheduling situation here. We've got the Kings have played 8 out of their last 10 games since the 8th of this month at home. They're 2 road games, short trip to San Jose, short trip to Las Vegas. And they actually were blown out in both those games. They lose 5-0 to San Jose, 5-0 to Vegas. So you've got a Kings team who is pretty well rested. They played Seattle on Saturday, had yesterday off, play again today, tomorrow off, but then they play back-to-back road games against Edmonton and Calgary. They beat Seattle 4-2 on Saturday. They play them again today. They've had all these home games in a row. 210 is an awful lot to ask here. Seattle's a team that has had a lot of rest. In the last week, they had 2 days off, and they play at Arizona. They win that game 4-2. 3 days off, they play LA. They lose that game 4-2. Yesterday off, back in LA, so they haven't moved. Tomorrow off, and then they host the Golden Knights on the 30th. So from a scheduling standpoint, LA, sure, they've been home a lot, so it's not quite as bad for them. But Seattle's very rested here. I like the Seattle side, especially after losing 4-2. So I'm leaning with Seattle in the game, but I've got a better way to play this, and I'm going to use that for my best bet in just one moment.
Awesome. Absolutely love it. And Brian, I would have been disappointed if I didn't hear you liking the dog in this one. I know you're Mr. Underdog, as I used to call you, and this is a game that just stuck out right away to me with the game that I just couldn't believe that price there on the Kings. My angle, I'm going to look at it. I guess I'm going to play it a little safer. And I know that you like this one as well, Brian. The over 2.5 team total for the Seattle Kraken here. It's minus 105 is what I got for this one. Minus 105 to get 3 goals for a Seattle Kraken team. And look, I know the LA Kings are a pretty good defensive team. Do not get me wrong. But they still give up goals. They still give up breakaways. They still give up penalties, which lead to power plays. And the Seattle power play has been better recently. And you look at Seattle, in the last couple games for them, 2 out of the last 3, they've hit that team total. And even in some losses for them, like their loss against Ottawa, their loss against Toronto, even in losses, you still cover the team total. That's what's my favorite thing about team totals. They could lose tonight 6-3, and I'd still hit that team total. And, it's a good price, like I said, at minus 105. And quite often when I bet these team totals, I'm looking at, 3.5s, even 4.5 sometimes with the Avalanche or Tampa Bay Lightning. Tonight, I'm getting a 2.5 with the Kraken. I'll take that over 2.5 for the team total. Once again, everybody, it is $9 Monday. You can grab every single play for $9 at WagerTalk.com. Every single sport, every single rating. Head on over to Brian's page, my page, or anybody's page and grab their plays for only $9. It is time for best bets, though. It's time to get into best bets on the show for the Monday slate. Brian, let's start this week off on a winning note. You mentioned you have one that was on this game we just talked about. Let's dive into it.
You talked about liking the team total over for Seattle. 5 out of the last 7 times they've played, they scored 3 goals or more, so I can understand that as well. Yeah, it's just a situation for myself where I think the LA Kings are going to overlook them. They've been at home for a long time. They've got those 2 games in 3 days coming up on the road to Edmonton and Calgary. They just beat Seattle 4-2 2 days ago. I expect them to come out a little bit slow in this game, and I like Seattle in the first period. We're getting a nice plus 160, 170 price in the first period with the Kraken. And as you mentioned, Seattle's scoring some goals. And like I talked about earlier, over the last month or so, they've been playing pretty even with the league in expected goals and in goals on 5-on-5. So I like Seattle here. First period, maybe play a little bit plus a half a goal, maybe play the money line also. I'll give the money line here, but I think I'm going to split it up both ways. And this will be my strongest play probably in the entire day here in all sports. So like I said earlier, I probably am not going to have any plays going to pass for clients today, but this is the best of the best for me. Give me Seattle first period plus the 160, and personally, I'm going to lay that or take the plus, have a goal there, and even it out a little bit. So if they win, I'll cash them both, and it worked very well last time I was on here. I believe I used Vegas in the first period. I think they won 2-0. So let's continue that first period success, and let's go Kraken.
Awesome. Gotta love those first period wagers. Awesome stuff. Bryan, Leonard, WagerTalk.com plus 160. Seattle Kraken in the first period tonight. My best bet, I'm going to go back to the very first game we discussed, guys. I'm going to look at the Carolina Hurricanes minus 130. Current price here. That's what I've locked in over the Washington Capitals. Taking a look at the schedule there for Washington. It's been a hectic one for them, taking on the Devils, taking on the Sabres, taking on the St. Louis Blues. It's been very busy for them. And a lot of, hectic games, a lot of high-scoring games, a lot of close games as well. Carolina should be feeling pretty good about themselves. Just scored 7 goals against the St. Louis Blues. They're a solid defensive team. They've only allowed more than 2 goals once in their last 4 games, and I expect their defense and their goaltending to really be the difference tonight. So my best bet is going to be the Carolina Hurricanes over the Washington Capitals at what I think is a reasonable price here. So to recap, we have Bryan Leonard looking at Seattle in the first period at plus 160. Also a little small sprinkle there on that plus a half goal as well. But that's a great price on the first period money line. And I have Carolina money line at minus 130. Guys, before you leave this page on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really, really do appreciate it. I really want to thank Bryan for joining me and putting up with me every single day and helping out and being a part of the show, and also all of our producers. On behalf of Bryan, I'm Andrew, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.